Hello friends, welcome back to the channel. In this video, we'll be discussing some more questions on Para Summary, and the questions are carefully selected to represent the actual questions that will be asked in your CAT and other management entrance examinations. So the questions might be tough. We will, as we go along, we'll be progressively increasing the standard of the questions so that you become skilled and adept in tackling these questions without any problem and arriving at the answers. So that is the purpose of discussing tough questions. We will not be discussing easy questions from now on. We will be discussing only tough questions. So we'll start the process. This is the first question. I'll give you some meanings. Spurious means something that is not original, something that is fake, or something that is a duplicate copy, something that is not genuine. That is called spurious. Hiving off means breaking off or broken off. Hived off means broken off. Masquerade, to disguise or to pretend, that is masquerading. And this particular expression, gaming the system means taking advantage of the system in an unfair or unethical manner is called gaming the system. Exploiting the system, you can say, or manipulating the system, that is gaming the system. Then state piloted markets means state controlled markets or government controlled markets. Then indulgent wink and nod means wink and nod. What is a wink and a nod? Something that is done in a surreptitious manner or in a secret manner. So the inspectors who are supposed to inspect the departments or the units, they give a indulgent wink and nod means they will be indulging or they will be giving them some unfair treatment or some kind of unfair advantage by not reporting the facts. That is called an indulgent wink and nod from inspectors. Means the inspectors or the government representatives who are supposed to find these duplicate small scale units, they keep a turn a blind eye. They will not report these things. That is called an indulgent wink and nod. Then innocuous. What is the meaning of the word innocuous? Harmless, something that is not going to create any problem, that is called innocuous. All right, so by reading the passage, what you can understand, there are a lot of small scale units which are actually bigger units being broken up into smaller units. So they are not genuinely small scale units, but bigger companies or larger enterprises which are broken off or hived off into smaller units. What is the purpose? This disguising or pretending as smaller units is to take advantage of the above mentioned provisions. So we had the passage might have discussed some provisions before this, and these provisions are actually some kind of government regulations or rules where government is giving some advantages to the small scale units. How do you know that? The succeeding sentence, this is what prompts many entrepreneurs to game the system, means taking advantage of the system in an unfair manner. Why? They want to exploit the system by pretending as small scale units, because government is giving lot of concessions and advantages to small scale units when compared with larger enterprises. What are the advantages? They make themselves look small to get cheaper inputs. So one advantage is when they purchase raw materials, these are given to them at a lower price. The cheaper inputs and access to state piloted markets. There are lot of markets where government is the only player, so government controlled markets are there. So in order to get some orders from these government controlled markets, you need to be a small scale unit. So that is why access to state piloted markets and winning and then getting an unfairly easy treatment from the inspectors. So inspectors will treat these small scale units in a very easy manner without being too strict in applying the norms and regulations on the units. So when they small scale, where the units are small scale units, they get some unfair advantage from the inspectors as well. The larger units may have to be will be scored, they will be scrutinized very strictly by the inspectors, but the smaller units are not going to be strictly scrutinized by the inspectors. So these are the advantages they are going to get. So in order to get these advantages that are extended to small scale units by the government, some larger units or many larger units are converting themselves into smaller units by breaking off into smaller units. This kind of pretending is done to exploit the system. And finally, the author says that we will feel that all these are not very harmful. They seem very harmless, but in the short run it may seem harmless. Means in the for the short period of time or for the near future this may be harmless, but as per Ramaswamy, he has demonstrated that whenever smallness is there, it is strongly correlated with inefficiency and low productivity. Means all the smaller units are having this problem of lack of efficiency and lower productivity. So whenever larger units are converted into smaller units, they also will become inefficient and having low productivity. So all the advantages, they will be getting a lot of advantages, but they will be having this problem. This is what the passage is saying. Now your question is to find a summary. So once we have discussed the passage, you might have easily understood which one will be the best summary. Option A, the advantage that some pretenders may gain by showing themselves to be small scale units is lost in the inefficiency that is inherent in the small scale units. So the passage says that all small scale units are generally inefficient and having low productivity. Small scale your smallness is strongly correlated with inefficiency and low productivity. Means all small scale units are generally considered to be inefficient and having low productivity. So this small when the advantage, the bigger units, when they convert into smaller units, they get some advantages. So this advantage that some pretenders gain by showing themselves to be small scale units is lost in the inefficiency that is inherent in a small scale unit. So this is seems to be correct. There is no problem here, because whenever larger units convert themselves into smaller units and pretend like smaller units to get some advantages, ultimately in the short run this will not be very harmful, but in the long run it might be harmful, because all small scale units are inefficient and they are not having any higher level of productivity. So the advantage is lost in the inefficiency, and that is inherent in a small scale unit. So good answer, keep it in your mind. Option B, the advantage that is gained by small scale unit is magnified when they are efficient and highly productive. So it says that when the small scale units are efficient and highly productive, the advantage they get from government is actually increased. Means they stand to gain if they become efficient and productive. May be correct. So this could be an inference that the passage might be intending to say, whenever, because small scale units are already getting a lot of advantages from the government, but the problem is small scale units are by their very nature inefficient. So if they overcome that inefficiency and becoming more productive, then they become very competitive. This might be an inference or a conclusion that the author might be making, but our question is not to find an inference or a conclusion. Our question is to find a summary. So this statement may not fit as a summary, it might be an inference, because this is what the one of the points that the author might be trying to highlight, but this is not given here. The passage, this is just an assumption or an inference that we can make, not the summary. As a result of which this may not be a good answer. Option C, many units pretending to be small scale units try to take advantage of the provisions, therefore small units are neither efficient or productive. So here the first part is correct. Many units pretending to be small units try to take advantage. That is correct. Because of which they become inefficient. So the word therefore is wrong, because the passage is not saying that only the larger units which convert themselves into smaller units to take advantage of the provisions are becoming inefficient. The passage is saying that all smaller units, whether they were previously larger units or not, all small units are inefficient and having low productivity. Whereas this option is saying that whenever larger units try to convert themselves into smaller units to take advantage of government concessions, they become inefficient. So that is wrong. So the word, because of the word therefore, this option is wrong. Option D, it is important that a unit be a small scale unit to take advantage of the available provisions. So it says that a unit has to be a small scale unit to take advantage of the available provisions. Maybe true. The passage says that the government is giving a lot of concessions to small scale units, and the larger units are converting themselves into small scale units to take advantage. Means the larger units are not getting this advantage, so they are converting to small scale units. So this option is correct. The unit to be has to be a small scale unit to take advantage of the available provisions. That is correct. So these options A and D are both correct answers. Now you have to select the best answer. Which is the best answer? See, option D is not talking about the main point in the passage. Option D is only talking about a supplementary idea. Whenever we have two good answers, it is always better to look for the answer which talks about the main idea in a para summary question. So the para in the, so here the main idea is that less bigger units converting or pretending to be smaller units to take advantage of the government concessions, but they becoming they will not be getting too much advantage because smaller units are inherently inefficient. So this is the meaning. So that idea is conveyed in option A, whereas option D is only talking about a unit has to be a small scale unit to take advantage of government provisions. So this is a supplementary idea, whereas option A is talking about the main idea. So this should be the correct summary of the passage, option A. Okay, go to the second question. Again, not very easy. So read it carefully, understand it well, then think about the. See the question. There is a slight difference here. It is asking you to find an option that best encapsulates the focus of the other. So what is the main idea that the author wants to state? That is encapsulating. In simple terms it is summary only, but since it is the given in a different wording, you need to understand that wording best encapsulates the focus of the author. So that is why the options are all saying the author talks about, the author talks about, etc. Normally in a para summary question, this the expression the author talks about will not be there. They will be directly stating the idea. But since the question is about the author's focus, the options are talking about, author talks about, etc. So only that is the only difference. Otherwise it is basically a para summary question itself. This expression never stopped informing cultures means, what is the meaning? It means that it continued to uh, give this knowledge to the cultures, to the various cultures. This knowledge was continuously given, or the all the cultures understood this particular thing. What is the thing? That healthy whole is larger than its parts. Means the benefit that you derive out of a healthy uh, wholesome society is much better than the benefit you get from the different parts of the society. That is the meaning. So this idea that a healthy whole is larger than its parts continue to inform all the cultures that have been in existence after the pre-industrial industrial societies. So in pre-industrialized societies, people already knew this. That is why cooperation represented a naked necessity for survival. So in pre-industrialized societies, people were cooperating with each other because it was necessary for their survival, their own survival. But once industrialization happened, even when the survival is not necessarily dependent on other people's welfare, the society understood that the wholesome welfare of the society is much more beneficial than the welfare of some parts of the society, more some sections of the society. So that information or that knowledge was there among all the societies, and it embodied the pillars of Christianity as well as the Islamic golden age. So both the religions, Christianity and as well as Islam, understood this principle in their books, in their theories, the Enlightenment or the New Deal. So it is talking about the religious theories of those times, the Enlightenment and the New Deal. And in these theories, it was embodied or it was included. What was included? The theory that the wholesome welfare of the society is much more beneficial to the society than the welfare of some individuals or some parts or sections of the society. And this is then it is the examples are given. US President Franklin Roosevelt evoked an industrial covenant. Covenant means theory or a principle, a commitment to living wages and a right to work for all. So this is the covenant that he proposed. That is, everybody should have a living wage, means a wage that is good enough for survival and a right to work. So Franklin Roosevelt proposed this theory that everybody should have a wage decent enough for their survival and they should have a right to work. And Martin Luther King gave the voice a broader idea when he said that no one is free until we are all free. So Martin Luther King further demonstrated this principle of collective benefit or collective welfare for all by saying that no one is free until we all are free. So everybody has to be free. And US Senator Edward Muskie proclaimed that the only society to survive is that one that will not tolerate slums and slums for some and some decent houses for others, clean air for some and filth for others. So this theory will not be tolerated. So what is the theory? So some should live in slums and some should live in decent houses, means selective benefit for some people, whereas other people are not getting the benefit. And clean air for some people and filth means foul air for others, or something that is not neat or something that is not very clean, that is filth. So this again is selective discrimination. So this kind of theory will not be tolerated. The only society that will survive is that a society where this kind of theories are not tolerated, means a society that will survive is that society where collective benefit or all people are getting equal welfare. So such societies that ensure that the collective welfare of all the people are there, such societies only will survive. So we should call these ideas what they are: the central civilizational insights. So these are the insights or the knowledge that has been developed through the central civilizational means the main focus of all the civilizations was this particular idea. So the collective welfare of all the people of the society is the most important thing, and this idea has been in enlightening the cultures since our pre-industrialized society. So in the pre-industrial societies, people cooperated with each other just for because it was a matter of their own survival. But after that, even when the collective benefit of the other person was not necessary for your survival, even in those societies, people understood that when each and every person in the society gets a benefit, then that society only can survive for long. So this is the understanding that you can get from the passage. Now, what is the focus? Option A, the author talks about the scenarios owing to which a drastic change has been brought about in the society in which we reside. Drastic change. Was there any change that has been brought about? There is no change. From the pre-industrialized societies itself, we know that we need to cooperate with each other. We need to make sure that everybody benefits, because In the pre-industrialized society, it was for survival, but in the industrialized and the later societies, it was for the wholesome welfare and the sustenance of the society. So that is why there is no drastic change. This is a continuous phenomenon that was happening. So there is no change here. So as a result, we can say that this is wrong. Option B, the author talks about a shift from the collective approach to a private approach. Here itself it is wrong, because we are not discussing any shift. Shift means a change. Are we discussing any change from a collective approach to a private approach or an individual centric approach? No, we are not talking anything about such an approach. So there is no shift here, irrespective of the outlook adopted in the earlier years. Again, wrong. The author talks about the perspective of the earlier generation, wherein cooperation was promoted and appreciated. Correct. It says that perspective means viewpoint. So the viewpoint of the earlier generation in the pre-industrial societies and in the later societies was that cooperation is necessary for the collective benefit, and only such societies will survive. So cooperation was promoted and appreciated. Good answer. Keep it in your mind. Option D, the author talks about legendary leaders and their ideologies with the perspective of keeping humanity and society growing. So it is talking about the legendary leaders and their ideologies. Why? With the viewpoint of keeping humanity and society growing. What is the ideology? Is it mentioned here? No, the ideology is not mentioned here. So the passage, the main focus is the ideology, that is the collective benefit or welfare of all people concerned in a society. That is the main idea, and in order to highlight that idea, the examples of the various leaders are given. So option D is only talking about the examples, and even when they talk about the examples, the what is the ideology, that is not mentioned. It says that the purpose of the ideology was to keep societies growing, but what is that ideology? The collective welfare, that is not given here. So this, even though this is not a wrong answer, it is not the proper answer, because we need to find a statement that encapsulates the best. Encapsulates means something that is the best option, that focuses or highlights the focus of the passage. So this is not the option that highlights the focus. This is the option because it talks about the viewpoint of the earlier generation, where cooperation was promoted and appreciated, and they understood that this was necessary for the survival of the society. So option C is a better answer than option D, only because option D is not talking about the core idea, which is the collective welfare or cooperation, and it is also only talking about the examples, not talking about the main idea. So that is where D is wrong. C is the correct answer. Okay, go to the next one. What is a spoof? A funny imitation of some serious thing is called a spoof. You imitate or you make a recreation of something serious in a very funny and humorous manner. That is called a spoof. Ambiguity, confusion or doubt, that is called ambiguity. Something that is not very clear, ambiguous. So the yes men, we don't know who these people are, some kind of people. So a group of people, they understood that the power of the internet and the battle is a terrain or a place where battles over truth could be fought. Means you could make some battles over the truth using the spoofs, and this internet was very powerful to do that. and they exploited the ambiguity of authenticity. Means when the people were already doubtful of the online content, so internet users are not very sure about whether whatever they read or they get from online it is genuine or not, so they are already doubtful. So these people, they made it more ambiguous, or they made it more confused by making some spoofs, and they people started doubting the authenticity of the things that they get from the internet. And this tactic was not used by, they were not the first people to use it. That is the third sentence, this culture jamming. So this principle is known as, or theory is known as, culture jamming tactic, and it is was taken from took its cue means they took their inspiration, that is taking a cue, means taking your inspiration or taking the idea. So here the Yes Men took its cue from Guy Debord and the so-called situationists of the 1960s, who advanced social and political critique. So the situationists and Guy Debord must have been their leader. So in the 1960s, they advanced social and political critique. Critique means study. So they advanced the social and political study by this method called culture jamming. Who's a situationist? A person who believes that people are influenced more by circumstances than by internal character, that such people are called situationist. A person who believes that people's characters or behavior are influenced more by external circumstances than by your character or behavior, such a person is known as a situationist. So here this person called Guy Debord and the situationist, they advanced the social and political study using this culture jamming technique. So this was adopted by the Yes Men. So Yes Men are the people of modern generation who are using internet to create spoofs for doing the same thing that the people of the 1960s did using culture jamming. And what was culture jamming? In the 80s and 90s, culture jamming unified activists around a common cause and a set of tactics, such as making minor edits to an advertisement to drastically change its meaning. So this is called culture jamming. So making some changes in a particular advertisement to completely change its meaning. That is culture jamming. And this form of activism was championed by Adbusters, a Canadian magazine that ran numerous anti-corporate campaigns. So this culture jamming technique originated in 1960s, and through 1980s, 90s, it grew. They started making advertisement changes in the advertisements to change its meaning, and it was supported by this. For championed means supported by Adbusters, another magazine. In 2011, they ran a lot of anti-corporate campaigns, initiating the call to Occupy Wall Street in 2011. So the Occupy Wall Street was a campaign run by leftist intellectuals in USA against the income inequality that was prevalent in USA. So that is known as Occupy Wall Street campaign. So the passage is that this activist was or this activism that was supported by Adbusters finally culminated or finally ended in the Occupy Wall Street campaign. So when we read everything, the passage is mainly talking about the usage of internet to create spoofs or some humorous imitations of something serious in order to create certain confusion regarding online content for social and political criticism. So this was not a new idea or a novel concept. This technique called culture jamming was already originated in 1960s, and it through 1980s, 90s, and 2010s it grew using various techniques. So this is the meaning. So this is the basically what the passage is talking about. Now go to the options. The author discusses the introduction of concept of revolting and protesting by using forms of activism and culture jamming. So here says that the author is discussing the introduction of the concept of revolting and protesting by using forms of activism and culture jamming. Introduction of the concept. Yes, the concept started in 1960s. It is given revolting. Yes, this is a form of revolt and protest by using forms of activism and culture jamming. Okay, most of the things are given here. So probably not, nothing incorrect is there, keep it in your mind. Then author discusses the role of the internet in airing, giving at the practice of revolting and protesting by using the internet as a modern medium. Yes, this is again a better answer, because in the first option we have never discussed the first part, means how internet has multiplied the power of the technique called culture jamming, because it is only the option A is only talking about the introduction of the concept, and it is not talking about how the yes men exploited the power of the internet to magnify the effect of culture jamming. So B is a better answer, because it says the role of the internet in giving aid to the practice of revolting and protesting by internet as a modern medium. So this is a good answer, but it is not talking about the essential idea called culture jamming, but it is saying that practicing the practice of revolting and protesting. So basically the method used is culture jamming, but it is used for the practice of protesting, and internet is used to magnify its effect. So again a good answer, option C. The author discusses the growth of the concept of revolting and protesting by distortion of the real content and turning into parodies and spoofs. So it's again says that the author discusses the growth of the concept of revolting and protesting by distortion of the real content and turning into parodies and spoofs. Again good answer, how it has grown over the years. So this is given. The author discusses how the method of revolting was more effective a few years back that due to the usage of the internet by a few population. It says that the author discusses how the method of revolting and protesting was more effective a few years back, means it is not effective now. The passage is not saying anything about that. Passage is only talking about how this method of protesting has grown over the years, how it originated, how it grew, and what is the situation right now. So option D you can directly eliminate, because it does not say that it is not effective now and more effective a few years back. So this is, D is not correct. Now out of the three options, which is the best answer? Option A is talking about the introduction of the concept. Option B is talking about how it later developed with the help of internet. Option C is talking about the author discusses the growth of the concept of revolting and protesting by distortion of the real content and turning into parodies and spoofs. So internet is also doing the same thing. The previous culture jamming technique was also doing the same thing, but in a different method. So it is basically talking about the growth of the concept of revolting and protesting by distortion. So distortion means the original content was distorted. Now it was through spoofs. Previously it was through changing the ads and something like that. So the methods used are changing, but the concept is the same, and the author is basically discussing how the concept has grown over the years. So this is a better answer than B, A and B, because A is only talking about the introduction of the concept, B is talking about the present situation, whereas C talks about both the situations. So C is the best answer that focuses on the all the aspects of the passage. So C should be the correct answer. Note, not A or B. So A and B are correct, they don't have anything wrong here, but we have to select the best answer that okay, that gives the focus of the author. The focus of the author is to talk to you about the how the concept started and how it has grown and what is the present situation of this protesting by making some distortions of the real content and turning it into parodies or some humorous content. So this is how it is given. So option C is the best answer. So then A or B, only D is wrong, so D only can be eliminated. So this method you need to remember whenever you have a passage and as four summaries of which two or three might be correct, you have to focus on the core idea that is spread all over the passage, and the option that highlights the entire idea should be your best answer. So option C, without losing the focus of the idea. So that is why C is selected as the best answer here. I hope you have found the content to be useful in your preparation. Please remember the techniques or the method we have used in identifying the correct answers. That is the most important thing. You can forget about the questions, but remember the techniques, because those techniques you can apply in your actual exams. So please like, share and subscribe if you have found the content to be useful. We will be back with more useful content for you. Thank you. Bye bye.